What do you think about intermittent fasting and its effect on hormones?
Well, I'm a fan. So, I love that you've gotten the message out about fasting. I think you're one of our best thought leaders when it comes to the benefits of fasting. And, certainly what I've seen in my practice is that caloric restriction doesn't work, right? I'm sure you saw that in your practice too.
I've done it for myself, yeah.
Right. I mean, it was a colossal failure. Like 98% of the time it doesn't work. So the 2% of people who are successful with it, more power to you. But what I found with fasting, in particular intermittent fasting, is that 95% of my patients can do it. So we can talk about the 5% or we can talk about the 95%, but for those 95%, we really know that there are benefits that probably outweigh the risks in terms of your hormones. So we know, the hormone that I think is the best characterized when it comes to intermittent fasting is insulin. And I'd love to go deep on insulin.
Yeah.
I always get asked when I'm giving a talk or when I'm on social media about the thyroid function and intermittent fasting. And I think there's a lot of folks who get told by their doctors that if you have Hashimoto's, you shouldn't do intermittent fasting, or if you have what some folks call adrenal fatigue. I don't actually like that term. I like HPA, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal dysregulation. That you shouldn't do intermittent fasting if you have that. Well, frankly, most of my patients have HPA dysregulation, so I don't think that's a reason not to do it. I think you have to do it with care. You have to do it, for some folks, some of my patients who are more dysglycemic, they have more problems with insulin and glucose. Some of those folks need a slower on-ramp, so they can't, immediately jump into like a 16-8 protocol. Yes. But they can do a more gradual transition, like start with 12-12, build up to 14-10. But let me put this back on you because I know you've thought a lot about.
So what I tell people, and I think that I wanted to get your take on it as well, is, it is a hormetic stressor, just like going to work out at the gym and using weights to build muscle. You are stressing your muscle slightly. It's a hormetic stressor in the same sense. So is it a stress on your hormones per se? Yes. But is it a bad stress? So I say to people, if you go and run a marathon on your first day of running, you will tear something. You will hurt something. You will probably be out of commission for a couple weeks. And that's how I felt when I first started intermittent fasting. I felt like I did that marathon. The first thing, because you read all about it, I read the studies. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, it lowers insulin. It's so great for your metabolism. There's this metabolic switch that happens and you start using fat cells for fuel and it's so great for longevity and turns down mTOR. And so I jumped into a 16-8 protocol and I did it every day. And literally by day 3, I was exhausted. My sleep was disturbed. I felt like I couldn't get enough sugar. I just had all the worst cravings in the world. And then I was back at square one and I said, I'm not doing this. And I hear this all the time from people. And they say, this is not for me. I checked with my doctor. My doctor said women should not intermittent fast. And I realized that it's because we, I don't know, we're all very different. So there are people who can jump into it. But most people cannot jump right in, especially if they have a hyperglycemic diet, a high level of sugar and carbohydrates, and they try to just fast. And then you get that crash. And you basically are stressing your hormones a little bit too much. So that's how I think of it. And I think that you can really get some of the benefits of doing this even with shorter intervals. And that's why I kind of talk about that circadian rhythm fasting, the circadian fasting. I just think that having that overlap of circadian rhythms and intermittent fasting, kind of using the time restricted eating model on top of circadian rhythms can be really powerful for a lot of busy women that have children. They can't really think of doing a 5-day fast. They can get some great benefits just from doing kind of shorter daily